Hi everyone, we are making a tiramisu today, which is my version. It's not like the authentic Italian version with the egg and the marsala and all that.
I really need you to hear what I'm saying.
Let's get stuck in. We're going to start by making our strong coffee. So for tiramisu, you need the coffee to be quite strong so it's an impactful flavour in the tiramisu. And if you are going to serve this to kids, you can always use decaf coffee if you don't mind them having the flavour of coffee but obviously don't want the caffeine. Let's start by boiling our kettle. So we need roughly about 300 millilitres of water. I've already put some water in my kettle, so I'm just going to put it on to boil. So jug on the scale on, make sure it's on 0 before you start weighing anything in. So we're using 300 milliliters of boiled water, which is the same as 300 grams of water. Coffee, add 2 of these level tablespoons. They're about 5 grams each, so we'll say about 10 grams of coffee, okay? I'll just repeat that. We've got 300 ml of boiling water and 10 grams of instant coffee. And we're going to mix that together. The reason why we're making this first is because we want it to cool before we use it. So we're not burning our fingers as we're kind of dipping our sponge fingers in. So that's why we're making this first. That's step 1 already done. Our strong coffee is ready. We're going to set that aside. Out of the camera. So next step is we're going to grate our chocolate. Now in the past I used to use just a regular hand grater and it takes absolutely ages to grate the chocolate. So I haven't done this before, but I thought to speed up the process I'll use a food processor. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, so me and you can enjoy this bit together. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'll just grab a new bar of chocolate and just grate it by hand with you. So I have my food processor, and in here I have the grater attachment. So the idea is I'm going to put the chocolate in here and I'm going to push it down and it will grate very, very quickly. You need 100 grams of dark chocolate. It's not fitting in as a whole bar, so I might have to break it into smaller pieces. So let's snap it. So I've kind of broken it up like this, okay? I've made it smaller. And I'm going to try and bob all of it in there because I think it might be a bit more secure if it's all in there. Bismillah, I'm quite nervous about this. Let's try it. Bismillah. Got quite a bit of chocolate left. So the bits that are left, some of it has been grated, which is great. It'll save us a lot of time, and we'll just do the other bits that are left by hand. So if you guys don't have a food processor, you can just use a regular hand grater. Box one is fine as well, and just grate your chocolate. And it can get a bit messy because it's quite light, so it flies away everywhere. But this is probably the most time consuming thing in the whole recipe. The rest of it is really easy, but it's worth the effort. So the chocolate looks like this. I have more in my food processor that I grated in there as well. Let's bob that all together. So moving on to the next part, we are going to make the cream filling for the tiramisu. Bowl on top of our scale. Scale is on. Make sure it's on 0 before you weigh in your ingredients. So we're going to go in with our cream cheese first, okay? So we need 200 grams of soft cheese, cream cheese. And make sure it's full fat cream cheese, okay? Slowly add in your cream cheese till you get 200 grams of cream cheese. 5 grams over, a few grams over, it's not going to make a massive difference in this recipe. We're going to add some icing sugar. So again, 2 tablespoons of icing sugar. And I will weigh it just so that we know how many grams that is as well, because it would be better for the sake of the recipe so that everyone is more accurate. So that's 1 tablespoon. So I'm going to say actually 1 spoon was about 10 grams, so 20 grams of icing sugar as well. And we have the sweetness from the dark chocolate, remember? So that's going to add to the sweetness. Whereas if I was using something like cocoa powder, I might have added more icing sugar in here to make it sweeter to kind of balance it out. However, because we are using dark chocolate and that has some sweetness, it's 50% dark chocolate. Back to this, and we're going to whisk these together until it kind of mixes in. So I'm just going to get a rubber spatula and I'm going to scrape down the sides of my bowl because as you know, things get tendency to stick on the sides. So we're just going to scrape down our bowl in between, just to make sure that everything is mixed in properly. I'm going to go in with 300 milliliters of fresh double cream. I do have to emphasize that you want to use fresh double cream and not something like Elmerly, which is like a cream alternative, because it just does not have the same flavor. It will not have the same richness to it, and already comes in a pot of 300 ml, so you don't really need to weigh it out. Okay, so that whole pot will go in here. We're going to go in again with our electric mixer and mix it until it basically just forms stiff peaks. Okay, just don't over mix it. So just want to mix it until it just holds its shape, and that's it. Okay. Right, there we go. It's ready. It's stiff and it's holding its shape. So that's as far as we need to take it. So that is done. I'm going to pour out the coffee into a bowl just so that it's easier to soak the fingers in here rather than in here, a bit harder. So I'm going to pour half of it for the first layer. So it's 300 mils, so half of that is 150. So we're going to put 150 mils of the coffee into a bowl, and that's going to be for the first layer, and then we've got the other half for the second layer, because we're going to be doing 2 layers in our tray. Okay, we've got our tray sponge fingers, so we're going to start by dipping our sponge fingers into the coffee and then layering it into our dish. Okay, I hope you can all see. Sponge finger into your coffee. You want to dip it for a good few seconds and turn it around, soak the other side as well, and then bob it into your tray. Okay, repeat that with all until you kind of like layer them all around the bottom. Okay, so both sides, and then layer it into your tray. I do have some coffee left in here which I'm going to use, and I'm not going to waste any of it. Okay, all of this coffee needs to go into the bottom layer. Okay, so use a spoon, and wherever you think the sponge fingers haven't soaked up enough coffee, just use it to kind of soak them a bit more. So we've got our coffee soaked layer of fingers. So next we need to put half of the cream cheese mixture. So this was, just bashed myself in the face with that. Half of this is going to go on this layer. Okay, so just take some bits of it and just plop it on here. I've got an offset spatula, which is really handy in the kitchen. You can buy these really cheap online. If you don't have one, just use the back of a spoon or a knife or something. It does the same job. Okay, so we're just going to spread the cream out onto our sponge fingers with the offset spatula or with the back of a spoon or knife into a nice even level layer. We're going to go in with our chocolate. We're going to use half of this chocolate in this first layer, so about 50 grams. Okay, so just get yourself a spoon and just generously top your tiramisu with a layer of that dark chocolate. Okay, so that's our first layer done. Okay, and we're just going to repeat that for a second layer now. Okay, so sponge fingers, cream and the chocolate once again in our second layer. This is what it looks like, guys. So that is ready to go in the fridge. This is best enjoyed the next day, the following day. It just has time for all those flavors to kind of settle in and like amalgamate, I don't know the right word, but like they kind of like fuse together and just taste so much better the following day. Cover it with some cling film or something, and then you can bob it in the fridge for you know, minimum of 4 to 5 hours, but ideally overnight. Best enjoyed the following day. Yeah, that was today's live. We were here for an hour. It took us an hour to do that from start to finish, and that included grating the chocolate as well, so it's not too bad, guys. It's quite an easy dessert to put together. That is it for today's bake along. We made a tiramisu. It's not a tiramisu, it's tiramisu. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoy your tiramisus. Don't forget to send me pictures. Bye, everyone.